Hello. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to set up the VRKB asset, which provides a virtual keyboard for typing text in VR. So VRKB only has one dependency, which is the Text Mesh Pro asset. So I want to mention here that if you're using Unity 2018 or later, as I am in this video, you're required to install Text Mesh Pro through the Unity Package Manager rather than through the Unity Asset Store. So the Unity Package Manager is the new way of installing some packages in Unity. So the way that we use the Package Manager is we go to Window, the Window menu, and then we go down to Package Manager. And then, so we're looking for Text Mesh Pro here, so we go down, we go to the Text Mesh Pro entry to check if it's installed, and I can see here that it is installed. If it wasn't installed, this button that says remove here would say install instead. But for Text Mesh Pro, it's actually a two-step process. So once you've installed from this window, you also have to go back to the window menu, go down to Text Mesh Pro, import essential resources. And now we're really done installing Text Mesh Pro. Okay, so that's done. So the next step is we're actually going to import the VRKB asset itself. So you would normally do this as a user through the asset store, but in this case I'm going to do it from a local file on my computer, but the process is the same. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to need to import into our project is a VR SDK. So in this video, I'm going to use the Steam VR SDK installed from the Asset Store. So VRKB also works with the Oculus SDK, and the setup steps are very, very similar. So this will take a few minutes. Okay, so we're almost done installing Steam VR here. So it's asking to change some project settings. So here I always just choose accept all. You made the right choice. Good. Okay, So now we're going to start working on our minimal VRKB scene. So we'll start by doing the minimal setup for any SteamVR scene, which is to delete the main camera, the default main camera, and then drag in the SteamVR camera prefab, which is under SteamVR prefabs camera rig. So we drag that in. And it's triggering starting SteamVR for me. This takes a minute. Okay. So what the camera rig has in it. Oh, still not working yet. So the camera rig has a camera, which represents the VR headset, and two controller objects, which represent the left and right hands. Okay, so the way that we type on the keyboard with VRKB is with a pair of virtual mallets that are attached to the hands. So what we're going to do right now is attach the mallets to the hands. So we go to VRKB prefabs, mallet prefab, and just drag that prefab onto both the left and right controllers. Okay, so we see the controllers have this model child. This is just what is shown by default to represent the controllers in VR. Since we're using the mallet, we don't need these. So these, for example, in my case, would show the HTC Vive controllers, like a realistic 3D model of those controllers within the VR app. Okay, so we've attached the mallets to the hand. If we go back to scene, we see this is actually two mallets sitting there in exactly the same position, so that it looks like there's only one of them. Okay, so next we'll drag in the main thing from VRKB, which is the keyboard. So again, go to VRKB prefabs, keyboard prefab, just drag that into the scene. And there we go, there's our keyboard. And so in a sense we are done here, because if we press play and put on our VR headset, we can actually already type on this keyboard, and we'll see the text appearing in this input area above. But I want to go a couple steps further than that and show how you can actually get the text out of the keyboard and send it to other parts of your application. So in order to demonstrate that, what I'm going to do is set up a canvas, and I'm going to put a message on the canvas, and then when we type something in VR on the keyboard and press the enter key, which is this green checkmark key, it will update the message on the canvas. Okay, so next we'll make the canvas. So right click in the tree here, go down to UI canvas. Okay, so this is going to be a world space canvas, so that it will show up in the 3D world. And we'll give it a position near the origin, but about head height. So this width and height are the width and height of the canvas in pixels. Okay, so that's reasonable. So if you've used world space canvases in Unity before, you'll know that by default they are huge. And the reason for that is that the unit of measurement in Unity is a meter. And for canvases, world space canvases, each pixel will by default be a meter wide and a meter high. So this means that for our canvas, for example, the width is 1500 pixels, so it would be 1500 meters wide or 1.5 kilometers, which is ridiculous. So this is easily solved if we just change the scale of the canvas. So I'm going to divide by a factor of 1,000. So now, instead of being a meter wide, each pixel is 1 millimeter wide, which is much better. And the physical width of our canvas is now 1.5 meters wide, which is approximately what we want. Okay, so you may have noticed this big, ugly blue icons. This is some kind of bug with TextMesh Pro. So we can get rid of those by just disabling 3D icons in the Gizmos menu. Okay, so that's better. We still have some little icons, but that are sort of in the way, but that's okay. Okay, so now we have our canvas here, and we can see where it's located. Let's give it a white background by adding an image component. Good. I'm going to move the VR keyboard a little closer to the canvas. So about waist height and right in front of the canvas. Okay, good. So we want to have a message on our canvas, so right click on the canvas here, go to UI, TextMesh Pro. We can type in our message here. Okay, you'll notice that the text is not appearing on the canvas, and that's because the default text color is white. That's the vertex color property here, so we change it to black. Okay, good. Now we can actually see the text. We zoom in. That yellow box here, that's the text box. So we actually want to stretch the text box to be the full size of the canvas. So we do that by changing the anchors here. Click the bottom right, just stretch. Sorry, you have to halt the Alt key and click the bottom right. And then you get it to stretch to the whole canvas. Okay, now we center the text vertically and horizontally. And increase the text size from 36 to 100, let's say. And that looks good. Okay. So since we want to update the message of the canvas at runtime, we need some kind of behavior on the canvas to do that. So I've already written that behavior, and it's in the asset. It's called hello canvas behavior. So I'll show you what this script does. It just has one method in it. So this method is called setName, and what it does is change the contents of the TextMesh Pro widget based on the name that we give it. So it will change the message to hello name. All right, so the thing that we have to do is to somehow call that setName method from the keyboard when we confirm our input by clicking this green check mark button. So the way that we do that is we go to the keyboard prefab, and then there's a bunch of settings here, but what we're interested in right now is the event callbacks. So we have callbacks for when a key is pressed, when input is canceled, or when input is confirmed. So we're interested in the onConfirm event. So we'll add a callback for that. We'll drag the canvas over into that callback slot. We'll choose the hello canvas behavior and the setName method. Okay, so that setName method will get past the contents of the input area of the keyboard when we click the green checkmark key. Okay, so that includes the setup of our scene. That's all we need to do. So now I'm going to click play and put on my VR headset and just make sure that the keyboard actually changes the message on the canvas like we want. Okay, so we've been interrupted here by SteamVR. So it says, it looks like you haven't generated actions for SteamVR input yet. So what this is talking about is the button mappings on the VR controllers. So it's missing some default, it's missing some configuration files for the button mappings on the controllers. We actually don't care about any of that stuff because we're not, in this example scene, we're not using the buttons on the controllers at all. But nonetheless, in order to get the scene to run, we have to go through the process of generating these files. So just say yes, and then another prompt, you're missing an actions.json file. Would you like to use the example file? Yes, please. And then we get this window, which is for configuring button mappings. We don't care, the default settings are fine, so just click Save and Generate. Wait for that to process a bit. Okay, I think that's done. So we close the window here. Ask if we want to save the scene. Yes. Okay. All right, so let's try again. So I'm going to play the scene and put on my VR headset and see if the scene works as intended. Okay, great, success. So that concludes the video. One thing I would just like to mention is that the VRKB asset includes an examples directory. So under VRKB examples, there's example scenes for Oculus, SteamVR, and SteamVR 2. So these example scenes are essentially what we've just constructed, but they have a couple of other nice things. In particular, they have audio feedback and haptic feedback on key presses. And I find that those two things really improve the typing experience quite a bit. So if you're interested, I would recommend looking at those example scenes. So these example scenes are packaged into Unity packages, and so you have to double click them and unpack them to actually get to the scene files. And the reason I've done that is just so that the asset itself has no dependencies on particular VR SDKs. Okay, thank you very much and good luck.